Unobtainables. Some of the most sought after things in the whole of Mineclub. Items that have been continuously rising in value since they released and can constantly be seen worn by other players or even just filling up their own inventories. Cosmetics such as the beta hats are now the most expensive items on the market, going for over 10 million gems each. But how did these items come about, and why are the unobtainable events so hyped up in the community? Well, in this video, I'll be explaining how these items came about and why they're so successful for the server. But before we get into it, I would like to quickly thank you guys for 200 subscribers, as the channel has been doing so well in the past month. So if you want to help out as well, do take a quick moment to hit the subscribe button, as it does mean a lot. Anyways, let's get on with the video. The first ever unobtainable event, which some of you may have been there to experience, was the beta event, which occurred before Mineclub's official release. Back in beta, there was no games like BattleBox or Parkour Tag. All they had was a small amount of tabletop games. But what kept players around was these event items, featuring the beta hats, sabers, and even the titles. These types of items had never really been seen before in Minecraft, and with Mineclub's owners encouraging players to carry on collecting these beta items, promising they will be worth much more in the future, many stayed to see what happened with the server. But many also gave these items away for free and left the server quite soon, not knowing what would happen just over 6 months later. But the server must have been boring, right? With only these hats to collect and a few games to play, surely most players left. Well, Mineclub wasn't just about being a minigame server. Its main focus was to be a social server where players can meet up, make friends, and just overall chill with others. So the community did exactly this. They created their own fun by talking in VCs with fellow players, doing random things like sitting in a line in the lobby, or even the owners doing these calls where players could join and listen to them talk about the future of the server, most commonly known as owner calls. But back to unobtainables. The beta items, of course, were not the only unobtainables. Eventually, a month after release, Easter items were introduced in April with 3 whole new cosmetics to collect. But the reason these items were becoming so expensive and continuously rising in value was the fact that after the event ended, they could never be earned again. Only the ones that existed after the event could be traded. And this was why, by the time of the Easter event, the beta hats were worth over 1 million gems each. So as more and more people started to realise this, the more that started to collect them. And this ended up creating a small snowball effect, causing the price to rise even faster than before. And not just the beta items, the later Easter and spring items are now worth much more than they were just a month ago. As more players started to collect over time, surely these items would be completely unaffordable in the future. But there was one thing that kept these items from exploding in price: interest. Something that was taken away from the server had been brought back in due to popular demand. Originally, any item you listed on the market would gain a certain amount of interest every minute you held the lowest price. This was later taken out, but they reintroduced it back in May, but this time only the unobtainables were able to be used for interest. This gave players yet another reason to gather up these items, as it was of course an extra way to make money. But as May ended, a new event came as expected, and what an event it was. Not just for the event itself, but for what happened throughout its lifespan. For starters, the system on how unobtainables were earned was slightly adjusted. Originally, the items themselves were given out every few minutes, starting with the hats in the beginning, the handout items in the middle, and finally giving out the titles at the end of the month. But in replacement for this was a new item known as event tokens, or summer tokens in that moment, where 20 to 50 of these were given out every 5 minutes. These tokens were to be used in the AFK lounge, where you would have a chance at getting an event item by spending 10 of your tokens. We've discussed how it came back to buy them later on, and overall the long-awaited end of the summer event. So let's skip over this. Mineclub of course knew this could not happen again, and the execution behind the most recent fall event perfectly displays how successful these events can be. The fall event release day most likely created the most revenue they had ever had in one day, and the main reason to this was one simple little addition to the boxes. If you opened a rare box or above, you had a chance at getting the full tokens. This was perfect for Mineclub, as you could not directly buy the tokens with gems, but could only be traded between other players. So some players decided to purchase these boxes to get more tokens, and this generated so many buys from the Mineclub store. Now of course, a successful event does not just mean making money, but all the key elements I mentioned before this will happen to these items. While they obviously won't rise during the actual event due to more of the items being won from the slot machines, they are bound to be worth millions of gems in the future as they slowly but naturally rise in price over time. Oh yeah, Wednesday is my birthday, so wish me happy birthday please.